The impossible salvage. Captain Maya Chen squinted at the swirling cosmic maelstrom that dominated the viewscreen of her salvage vessel, the Rusty Venture. The Vortex Nebula pulsed with deadly beauty, ribbons of purple and crimson energy crackling through clouds of stellar dust that twisted into impossible geometries. "You're not seriously considering this, Captain," First Officer Dario Rice said, arms folded across his chest. "There's a reason the Galactic Compact labeled this a Class 9 exclusion zone." Maya drummed her fingers against the worn command console. "And there's a reason we're the best salvage crew this side of the Orion Arm, Dario." The bridge of the Rusty Venture hardly resembled the sleek command centers of Confederation vessels. Mismatched equipment salvaged from a dozen different species filled every available surface. Exposed wiring hung from jury-rigged ceiling panels, and a constant hum of the patched-together drive system vibrated through the deck plates. "This signal isn't natural," communications specialist Zhen Wei said, her implants glowing faintly as she processed the data. "It's repeating on a precise interval. Someone, or something, is broadcasting from inside the vortex." The mood shifted on the bridge as the crew exchanged glances. In the salvage business, mysterious signals usually meant one thing: profit. The radiation alone would cook standard shielding in minutes. Chief Engineer Omar Kazemi said, running calculations on his tablet. "Even with our modifications, we'd have maybe 2 hours before critical systems failure." Maya leaned forward, staring at the nebula as if challenging it personally. 2 hours is all we need." The proximity alert blared, and Jen's implants flashed urgently. "Captain, we've got company." Salaxian patrol vessel approaching at high velocity. The viewscreen split to show a gleaming silver ship shaped like an arrowhead. Unlike the patchwork human vessel, the Salaxian design was sleek, efficient, and intimidating. "They're hailing us," Zhen reported. "Put them through." The face that appeared on the screen resembled a bipedal praying mantis with iridescent compound eyes and mandibles that clicked with precise movements as it spoke. "Human vessel, this is Commander Kretax of the Salaxian Confederation. You have entered restricted space. The Vortex Nebula is strictly forbidden under Compact Law Section 447A. Turn back immediately." Maya put on her most diplomatic smile. "Commander, we're simply conducting scientific surveys at a safe distance. No harm in looking, right?" The alien's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation. "Your species' reputation precedes you, Captain Chen. We are aware of the signal emanating from the nebula. 3 Salaxian research vessels have already been lost attempting to investigate it. The anomalies within the vortex defy conventional physics. With all due respect, Commander, we're not conventional." The Salaxian's compound eyes glittered. "The vortex doesn't just destroy ships, Captain. It unmakes them." The last vessel that ventured more than 5 megameters into the formation reported temporal distortions before all communication ceased. They didn't just die. They never existed in the first place. A chill ran through the bridge crew, but Maya maintained her composure. "We appreciate the warning, Commander. This is not a warning. It is an order. The Compact is clear on this matter. If you proceed toward the nebula, we will be forced to take action." "Understood. Rusty Venture out." Maya signaled for Zhen to cut the communication. The moment the screen went dark, she turned to her navigation officer. "Ellie, plot us a course into the nebula that avoids the patrol's sensor coverage." "Captain," Dario began to protest. "I know what you're going to say," Maya cut him off. "It's too dangerous. It's against regulations. It might get us killed." "Actually," Dario replied with a resigned smile, "I was going to say we should probably activate the stealth modifications before the Salaxians realize what we're up to." Maya grinned. "This is why you're my first officer. Omar, how are we looking on those special shields you've been working on?" The engineer tapped his tablet. "The resonance field should hold against the radiation, but those gravitational anomalies are another story. We'll need to thread the needle." Threading needles is what humans do best, Maya said, settling into her captain's chair. All hands, prepare for nebula insertion. And somebody get me a coffee. Something tells me it's going to be a long day. As the Rusty Venture powered up its modified engines, the Xalaxian patrol vessel grew increasingly agitated, sending rapid-fire warnings that Jen translated with increasing amusement. They're saying we're, quote, demonstrating typical human recklessness and disregard for safety protocols. Also something about us being, cosmically immature primates. Tell them to hold my beer, Maya replied, using the ancient human idiom that had become something of a calling card for humanity throughout the galaxy. The ship plunged forward, its stealth systems engaging as they accelerated toward the swirling edge of the nebula. The Xalaxian vessel moved to intercept, but Maya had anticipated this, taking the Rusty Venture into a steep dive that no military vessel could match without tearing itself apart. They're firing warning shots, Tactical Officer Lai reported calmly. Evasive pattern Delta 6, Maya ordered. Omar, give me everything the engines have got. The ship shuddered as it pushed beyond safety limits, the patchwork of alien and human technology protesting but holding. The Xalaxian weapons fire dissipated against the nebula's outer edge as the Rusty Venture slipped into the swirling cosmic storm. Instantly, the ship's sensors went haywire. Gravitational readings fluctuated wildly, and chronometers began running at different speeds throughout the vessel. Outside the viewports, reality itself seemed to bend and warp, the stars stretching into impossible shades. Radiation levels climbing, Omar reported. Shields holding for now, but we're burning through energy reserves faster than expected. The signal's getting stronger, Jen said, her implants pulsing rapidly. Bearing 227 Mark 34. Follow it, Maya ordered, and everyone keep your emergency temporal anchors close. If things get weird, activate them immediately. The journey deeper into the nebula became increasingly surreal. Sections of space rippled like water, while others seemed to fold in on themselves. Occasionally, they glimpsed what appeared to be the same region of space from multiple angles simultaneously, as if reality had been shattered and poorly reassembled. There's something ahead, Ellie announced, her voice hushed with awe. The view screen struggled to render the image, but as they approached, it became clear they were looking at a massive structure, a floating installation that defied conventional architecture. Parts of it seemed to exist in different phases of reality, blinking in and out of perception. Is that a shipyard? Omar whispered. The structure stretched for kilometers, with massive docking arms and construction bays arranged around a central hub that pulsed with energy. But most shocking of all were the ships, dozens of them, suspended in various states of completion, their designs unlike anything humanity or their alien neighbors had ever created. It's ancient, Jen said, analyzing the signal pattern. The broadcast is automated, repeating the same message in thousands of languages. Most are unknown, but I'm detecting fragments that match Proto-Xalaxian. And, she paused, stunned, Proto-human. That's impossible, Dario said. Humans weren't spacefaring when Proto-human was spoken. Unless someone was on Earth long before we developed writing, Maya said softly. As they approached the massive structure, 6 enormous entities emerged from within the shipyard's central hub. They resembled living nebula in vaguely humanoid form, their bodies composed of the same swirling energy that made up the vortex, but controlled, purposeful. Sentinels, Jen whispered as her translation systems processed the signal. The message calls them Sentinels. The entities surrounded the Rusty Venture, their energy forms rippling as they examined the small human vessel. The ship's systems fluctuated wildly in their presence, power surging and dropping unpredictably. They're scanning us, Omar reported. Like nothing I've ever seen. They're not just checking our technology. They're reading our molecular structure, our brain patterns, even our quantum signatures. For several tense minutes, the Sentinels continued their examination while the crew waited, weapons ready but unused. Finally, the largest of the entities moved directly in front of the view screen and expanded, its energy form reconfiguring into a rough approximation of a human face. "You have come," it spoke, its voice resonating through the ship's speakers in perfect English. "After 50,000 cycles, someone has finally passed the threshold." "We received your signal," Maya replied carefully. "Who are you?" "We are the caretakers, programmed by those you would call the precursors. This facility was constructed to identify species with the necessary qualities." "Necessary for what?" Dario asked. "For inheriting what was left behind," the entity replied. "Many have detected our signal. All but you turned away when warned of the dangers. Fear overwhelmed curiosity. Caution suppressed courage." Maya exchanged glances with her crew. "So this was a test." "The first of many," the Sentinel confirmed. "The nebula itself is our creation, a barrier that only those with both technological ingenuity and the will to risk everything for discovery can penetrate." "And now that we're here?" Maya asked. The massive structure before them suddenly illuminated fully, sections that had been dormant flickering to life. The incomplete ships in their construction bays began to hum with energy. "Now," the Sentinel said, "you face the judgment of those who came before, and the wrath of those who wish you had not come at all." As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the rusty venture. On the sensors, multiple Galaxian warships appeared at the nebula's edge, preparing to enter despite the dangers. "It seems your neighbors do not approve of your curiosity," the Sentinel observed. Maya's eyes narrowed as she watched the approaching fleet. "They never have. But that's never stopped us before." The entity's approximation of a face seemed to smile. "Indeed, that is precisely why you are here. Revolution by recklessness. They're coming in heavy," Tactical Officer Lai reported, watching the sensor display as a dozen Galaxian warships formed up at the nebula's edge. Confederation-class destroyers, 2 dreadnoughts, and what looks like their new Sunfire-class flagship. Maya whistled. "They must really not want us talking to our new friends." The Sentinels had withdrawn into the ancient shipyard, leaving the rusty venture floating before the massive structure. The signal that had drawn them here had ceased, replaced by a low-frequency energy pulse that Omar reported was gradually integrating with their ship's systems. "It's like nothing I've ever seen," the engineer said, eyes wide as he monitored the process. "They're not hacking us. They're upgrading us, rewriting our technology at the quantum level." "Should we be concerned about that?" Dario asked, one eyebrow raised. "Probably," Omar admitted, "but it's too fascinating to stop." Maya turned to Jen. "Any luck communicating with our energy friends?" The communications specialist shook her head, her implants cycling through various frequencies. "They've gone silent, but I'm detecting massive power surges throughout the shipyard. Something's waking up." The deck plates beneath them vibrated as the ancient facility fully activated. Dormant sections blazed with light, and the incomplete ships in their construction bays began to move, robotic arms and assembly systems springing to life after millennia of inactivity. "Captain," Ellie called out from navigation, "you need to see this." The main view screen shifted to show the nebula itself. The swirling cosmic storm was changing, energy patterns reorganizing and stabilizing. Pathways were forming through the chaos, safe corridors that would allow ships to navigate without facing the deadly anomalies. "They're making it easier for the Galaxians to reach us," Dario realized. "Or they're setting a stage," Maya countered, her mind racing. "Jen, keep trying to reach the Sentinels." "Omar, what's happening with those upgrades?" Before the engineer could answer, the ship's systems suddenly came back online. But different. The displays were sharper, the energy readings more stable, and according to Omar's diagnostics, their shield capacity had increased by 300%. "Captain," Jen called out, her voice filled with excitement, "I'm in. I've got access to the shipyard's central database. She faltered. "It's downloading into my implants." Maya rushed to her side as the communications specialist's eyes widened, streams of data reflecting in her pupils. "There's so much," Jen whispered. "The precursors, they weren't just one species. They were a collective of civilizations, united billions of years ago. They seeded worlds, guided evolution, left behind tests and trials." "For what purpose?" Maya asked. "To find successors," Jen replied, her voice distant as she processed the flood of information. "Species worthy of inheriting their legacy. The Vortex Nebula contains one of many such tests scattered throughout the galaxy. The Xalaxians found others centuries ago, but failed the final challenges." A new alert sounded. The Xalaxian fleet had entered the nebula, following the newly created safe passages directly toward them. "They're charging weapons," Lai reported. "Open a channel," Maya ordered. Commander Kretax's face appeared on screen, mandibles clicking furiously. "Human vessel, you have violated compact law and interfered with a restricted precursor site. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." Maya straightened her jacket casually. "Commander, we've made first contact with the guardians of this facility. They've chosen to communicate with us. I suggest you stand down and let diplomacy take its course." "Diplomacy?" The Xalaxian scoffed. "Your species has been spacefaring for less than 3 centuries. The Confederation has studied the precursors for thousands of years. Whatever you've stumbled upon belongs under our protection and study." "Funny thing about stumbling," Maya replied with a smile. "Sometimes you fall right where you need to be." The commander's compound eyes flashed with anger. "You have 1 minute to power down your systems and prepare to be boarded." When the screen went dark, Maya turned to her crew. "Options. We're outnumbered and outgunned," Lai stated flatly. "Even with our upgraded systems, we can't win a direct confrontation." "The shipyard," Jen suddenly interjected, her eyes clearing as she processed the last of the data download. "It's not just a construction facility, it's a weapon." "Can we use it?" Maya asked. "Maybe," Jen said, moving to her console with renewed purpose. "The Sentinels were evaluating us for compatibility with precursor technology. That's why they upgraded our systems. The shipyard will respond to human commands if we can interface correctly." Omar joined her, examining the new protocols appearing in their system. "It looks like they've given us administrative access, but we need to physically connect to the central hub." Maya didn't hesitate. "Prep the shuttle. Dario, you have the bridge. Keep the Xalaxians talking as long as you can." "What exactly am I supposed to tell an angry fleet of mantis warriors?" Dario asked. Maya grinned as she headed for the lift. "Tell them humans need a little more time to finish their beer." 15 minutes later, Maya, Omar, and Jen stood in what could only be described as the control center of the ancient shipyard. The chamber was vast, with walls that seemed to shift between solid matter and pure energy. At its center floated a crystalline structure that pulsed with light and time with Jen's implants. "It's beautiful," the communications specialist whispered. Omar was already working, connecting their equipment to interfaces that reshaped themselves to accommodate human technology. "The compatibility is incredible. It's like it was designed for us." "In a way, it was," Jen said. "The precursors didn't leave this technology for just anyone to find. They'd wanted species with specific traits: curiosity, courage, creativity, and a healthy disregard for warnings." Maya added with a smile. The crystal at the center of the room suddenly flared, and one of the sentinels materialized before them, its energy form more defined than before. "You have come to claim the inheritance," it stated. "We've come to survive," Maya corrected. "There's a fleet out there that wants to take this place by force. As others have attempted before," the entity acknowledged. "They were found wanting." A chill ran down Maya's spine. What happened to them? They exist no longer. Before Maya could process the implications of that statement, her communicator chirped. "Captain," Dario's voice came through, tense and urgent. "The Xalaxians are moving into attack position. Their flagship is charging some kind of energy weapon I've never seen before. The Sentinels' form rippled. They wield technology beyond their understanding, salvaged from other precursor sites where they passed the initial tests but failed to comprehend the responsibility such power demands. And what responsibility is that? Maya asked. To create rather than control, to explore rather than conquer, to risk rather than dominate. The entity moved closer. Your vessel entered the vortex despite warnings. You chose discovery over safety. This is the essence of what the precursors valued, and what the Selaxian Confederation has forgotten. Maya's communicator chirped again. Captain, they're firing. Outside, the Selaxian flagship discharged a beam of concentrated energy that cut through space toward the shipyard. The Sentinel merely gestured, and the beam froze mid-trajectory, suspended in space like a thread of light. The facility is yours to command, the entity said to Maya. But choose wisely. What you do now will determine whether humanity is truly ready. Omar looked up from his equipment. Captain, I've got control of the shipyard's defensive systems. What are your orders? Maya stared at the suspended energy beam, at the fleet of warships beyond it, and at the ancient technology now at her fingertips. With a word, she could obliterate the Selaxian fleet. She could seize control of technology that would make humanity the dominant force in the galaxy overnight. Instead, she smiled. Connect me to all Selaxian vessels, she ordered. When Omar nodded, she spoke clearly and confidently. Selaxian fleet, this is Captain Maya Chen. The precursor facility has accepted human custodianship. Your attack has been neutralized, but we have chosen not to respond with force. She paused, letting the words sink in. We invite representatives of the Confederation to join us on the shipyard, unarmed, to witness what we've discovered. This technology wasn't meant to be hoarded or used as a weapon. It was meant to be shared by species who understand that the greatest discoveries come not from caution, but from courage. For several long moments, there was no response. Then, slowly, the suspended energy beam dissipated, and Commander Kretax's voice came through. You could have destroyed us. That would have rather proved your point about humans being reckless, wouldn't it? Maya replied. We prefer to surprise people. 3 hours later, Maya stood with Commander Kretax in the shipyard's observation dome, watching as the nebula continued its transformation. What had once been a deadly barrier was reshaping itself into a stable region of space, a gateway rather than an obstacle. The precursors engineered these challenges throughout the galaxy, she explained, not to find the strongest or most advanced species, but to find those with the right combination of traits to carry on their vision. The Selaxian commander's mandibles moved thoughtfully. And they chose humans. They chose anyone willing to face the unknown. Maya corrected. Your ancestors qualified once, before the Confederation became more focused on control than discovery. And now we have a choice to make together, Maya said, looking out at the stars beyond the nebula. The shipyard contains technology that could transform both our civilizations, but the Sentinels are clear. It must be used to explore, not to dominate. Kretax was silent for a long moment. The Confederation Council will not easily accept humans having access to precursor technology. Then don't tell them we have access, Maya suggested with a grin. Tell them we're all just figuring it out together. After all, the best discoveries are the ones you don't see coming. As if to emphasize her point, one of the incomplete ships in the construction bay suddenly powered up, its systems coming online for the first time in millions of years. Unlike the military vessels of the Confederation or the utilitarian designs of human ships, this craft was clearly built for one purpose: exploration. The Sentinels call it a Starfire-class discovery vessel, Maya explained. The first of many, they say, fast enough to reach the galactic core in weeks, with sensors that can map star systems from light years away. And weapons? Kretax asked cautiously. Defensive systems only, Maya replied. Apparently, the precursors believed the best way to handle danger was to outthink it or outrun it, not to outgun it. The commander's compound eyes reflected the ship's gleaming hull. "Your people have a saying, I believe, about holding beverages." Maya laughed. "Hold my beer. It means watch this. I'm about to do something either incredibly stupid or incredibly impressive." "And which was this?" Kretax asked, gesturing at the awakened shipyard around them. Maya watched as more systems came online, as ancient technology prepared to share its secrets with species that had finally proven worthy of receiving them. "Ask me in 100 years," she said with a smile. "For now, let's just say the universe hasn't seen anything yet." Back aboard the Rusty Venture, Dario found Maya in her quarters, staring out the viewport at the transformed nebula. "The Talaxians are returning to their fleet," he reported. "The commander has agreed to present your proposal to the Confederation Council." "And the Sentinels?" "Still monitoring, according to Jen. She says they'll remain until we've fully accessed the shipyard's capabilities." Maya nodded, still looking at the stars. "You know what this means, don't you? That humans just jumped about 5 centuries ahead in the galactic technology race." Dario suggested. "That we just proved everyone wrong," Maya corrected. "Every species out there that called humans reckless, impulsive, dangerous. We didn't pass this test despite those qualities. We passed because of them." Dario smiled. "So what's next, Captain?" Maya turned from the viewport, her eyes bright with purpose. "Next, we do what humans have always done best. We explore. We discover. We push boundaries," she grinned. "And occasionally, we make the entire galaxy hold our beer." Outside, the first completed Starfire vessel moved out of its construction bay, its engines glowing with energy unlike anything humanity had ever harnessed. Within the ancient shipyard, more systems awakened, ready to share their secrets with species who had proven, at long last, that they were worthy of the stars. And throughout the galaxy, other tests waited. Other challenges left behind by those who had come before, designed to find civilizations with the perfect blend of caution and courage, of wisdom and wonder, of respect for the past and vision for the future. Humanity had passed the first test. The rest of the universe was about to discover what that meant.